Dario Saric had a cleft lip. Could this great basketball player overcome this congenital anomaly? The Golden State Warriors tricked the NBA. As you all know, the Golden State Warriors made a huge signing acquiring Dario Saric. Now, NBA media has considered this to be one of the biggest deals of this NBA offseason, and in today's video we're going to be going through 7 reasons how this affects the NBA, but how this also helps the Golden State Warriors win another NBA championship next season. The first is that Dario Saric provides great rebounding for the Golden State Warriors team. This is something that is so important, but as you all know, Golden State Warriors weren't really the best rebounding team, especially in the most current season. If we look at their rebounding total, they actually ranked 15th when it came to rebounds allowed, and they were allowing quite a lot of rebounds, and to put it even into more perspective, they actually ranked 20th in offensive rebounds allowed, so they were really poor. And actually, grabbing offensive rebounds in that sense, and it is something that the Golden State Warriors have definitely lacked in this most current season. When they did lose Otto Porter Jr., and they also did lose Gary Payton too a little bit, but now he's back, and also other players like JTA. You definitely saw a huge decrease in their rebounding, and Dario Saric can definitely provide that rebounding back. Now Saric, obviously, he did only average 12 or 13 minutes per game. However, in those averages he was actually able to average in the most current season 3.6 rebounds. Now, that may not sound like a lot, but if you calculate it for per 36 minutes, if you did play a proper 30-plus minute game or even 25-plus, he would actually be projected to average around 9.8 rebounds. Which is pretty much 10 rebounds in that sense, so he is a fantastic rebounder. What he does well is due to the fact that he does stand at 6'10", which is a really good height, especially with teams running a lot of small ball. He also weighs 225 pounds and has great strength around the ring in order to box out and get those boards. So Saric will actually provide a lot for this team. The fact that he's 6'10" actually also does make him the tallest player in this Warriors roster that get a majority of the minutes. One of the biggest players on this team is Kevon Looney, and Kevon Looney only stands at 6'9". So, Dario Saric is a taller. He could definitely provide a lot due to the fact that if we look at the last playoff series that they actually had against the Los Angeles Lakers, Kevon Looney really did struggle, especially when he was off the floor and the Golden State Warriors started to run small ball against players like Anthony Davis and LeBron James. It was just too much to handle, and on top of that, Kevon Looney can't have the burden on grabbing all the rebounds himself. Before, Stephen Curry actually ranked 3rd in most rebounds, and he was pretty much tied with Draymond Green at around 6.7 rebounds per game. And if Stephen Curry, then you definitely need more rebounders on your team, so getting someone like Saric of his caliber, of his height, can definitely provide, and also ease up Looney when it comes to his usage rate on the boards, and really free up Looney to do other stuff on the floor, such as block shots, play great defense, or even score inside. So Saric definitely not only just provides a lot for this team, but it also eases up the usage rate for a lot of these players, or they could also focus on other things, and that's what Savage can really bring to this team to help push them even further. The second, for a 6'10" forward, Dario Saric has the ability to thrive as a passer in multiple different situations, which makes him a perfect fit in the Warrior system. He's first to the ball instantly with one hand, skips the ball ahead, which leads to an easy fast break bucket off the rebound. He can push the pace as well like a point guard and advance the ball to an open shooter for 3. He has that point guard gene to him in the fast break situation to locate open guys ahead, leading to points, and that randomly he can be a handler in the pick and roll and dime the roller with a perfect pocket pass off ball. As well, he has great IQ as a passer right here. He cuts to the open lane as Aiden is doubled, creating a wide open 3 for his teammate in the corner. He has speed advantages against opposing forwards and close out situation, and when he draws the defense, he will find the open guy as Chris Paul is snaking through the pick and roll. Dario fills the open space, which allows some players to clear to the corner. Eventually he gets to pass both defenders, go to him, quick pass, wide open 3, very simple play. But he has a little IQ. Things like that ingrained in his game, and he understands spacing to AT. Then he can be used as a screener, and in the short roll situation he finds the open man very quickly right here. He catches with one hand and passes instantly to his open team, and in the corner he locates the open space off the catch so quickly and attacks. It then delivers a dime to his teammate again. He catches baselines open, so he eats that space right away, and then Torrey Craig gets stuck. But Dario has the smarts to move off ball and create an open passing lane. He catches, locates the open gap, attacks right away without even thinking about it, bounce pass bucket. He can be a legit playmaking hub where he can post up mismatches and hit cutters consistently. This time the defense takes away the cutter, so he hits the wide open man in the corner perfectly. Dario fits the Warriors system with his quick passing instincts, and any situation you put him in. The underrated thing about the Warriors offseason is adding Dario and CP3. You're setting up a guy like Jonathan Kuminga to have a breakout season, because having two high IQ unselfish passers like that at all times in his bench minutes will make the game so much easier for him. And not only that, but Dario also has the ability to stretch the floor at the fourth position or small ball 5 depending on the matchup you're playing against. He shot 39 from 3 on 2 attempts per game. He brings a pick and pop option which stretches out the opposing bigs who aren't comfortable on the perimeter, which could be very useful with Steph Curry, Chris Paul, or even Klay Thompson. Plus, he provides great value as a cutter, not only as a playmaker in that situation, but a finisher at the rim with his 6'10" frame and craftiness and footwork. He finds ways to finish around the basket consistently, which makes him productive as a roller in the pick and roll. Plus, if a cutting lane is open, he will abuse it right away without thinking about it. Now, as you probably know, Dario Saric tore his ACL in the 2021 NBA Finals. Then he missed the entire next season. Last year was his first season back. He clearly lost some speed and agility post-injury, and with each team, the Suns and OKC. He really didn't have a consistent role with them, and he was off and on in terms of minutes, but he still found a way to produce when he was called upon. But with a whole entire off-season, there is hope he gets some burst back that was lacking in his first season back. Overall, he will be a nice productive piece off the bench for the Warriors, and personally, he is set up to have a breakout season for his standard based on the great fit in the Warriors system, along with him being the healthiest he's been in the past couple of years post-ACL injury. The third is now Dario Saric is able to space out the floor for the Golden State Warriors team. Now, as you all know, Draymond Green and Kevon Looney are the main beats for this Warriors team, and even if you want to end Andrew Wiggins and Jonathan Kuminga all into that mix. As well as they played power forward and centered during some small ball times, and when it comes to these bigs, what you have noticed about all of them is none of them are great three-point shooters, probably besides Wiggins. But even if Wiggins is on, you still need a center out there, and it's usually Draymond and also Kevon Looney. Kuminga is somewhat getting there, a better shooter, which is fantastic, but they need someone that can really space out the floor and have really a lot of defenders respected. And Dario Saric can definitely be that person. If we look at Saric last season, he was able to average a three-point percentage of 40 guys at a center of 6'10", so this is honestly fantastic to see. But the greatest thing about this as well is that his highly efficient scoring from the three also came with averaging 2.5 three-point attempts per game. So, you definitely have to respect it, and even with a low amount of volume such as that, especially compared to today's league where you have some guards taking 10-11 3-points per game, he's shooting them at a very efficient rate, and this is something that will help space out the floor for other players, not just Saric, and help him benefit himself. And we look at the roster guys, and we look at the starting five and how they did during the playoffs. One of the biggest concerns that they did have is that Draymond couldn't really score from the outside, and that's why he had a lot of teams sagging off of him. He also had Kevon Looney, you couldn't shoot outside, which would clog up Payne, and Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and even Wiggins were struggling to get to the ring. Especially due to the fact that Kevon Looney was probably planted in there, or also even Draymond Green, and because of those reasons, they definitely need someone that can space out the floor as a big man as well. They have great shooters such as Klay, Steph, and even a Chris Paul to the mix, and Gary Payne the second hand has a solid three-point shot as well. But when it comes to spacing out the floor for the big men, Dario Saric really does provide that. If you now look at a lineup where Saric is running that power forward or center position, now you can run kind of a 4-out and have one player inside, whether that's Draymond, Kevon Looney, or even Jim Michael Green. But either way, spacing out the floor is so important, especially in today's NBA, and three-point shooting has definitely changed that for the better. The fourth is that Dario Saric's cheap contract allows the Warriors to sign one bigger player. Now, this is something that definitely must be known, but when it comes to Dario Saric, he did sign a one-year $2 million veteran minimum contract. Now, it is a lot of money, but it does leave Golden State Warriors a bit of a gap to be able to get one bigger player, someone that could honestly feel a great role player role. Another thing with this contract as well is that Dario Saric only did sign for 1 year, and as you all know, next season a lot of the big players in Warriors are actually going to have their contract expired. Chris Paul's contract will expire, Klay Thompson, and also now Dario Saric and a couple of others. So, because of that, they actually are freeing themselves up for cap space next offseason if there is a superstar that they are willing to get. Now with Warriors fans knowing that the Golden State Warriors can sign one more big player, a blame that has been circled around due to the fact that they want him back in a Warriors uniform is Kelly Oubre Jr. Now the Warriors would actually have to pay a bit of luxury salary cap tax in order to get someone like Kelly Oubre Jr., but it is still very possible Oubre would be a fantastic addition to this Warriors team due to the fact that he has played with the Warriors before and did a fantastic job during his time here. He is playing at 6'7", 203 pounds, and he also averaged last season 20.3 points, 5.2 rebounds, and 1.1 assists. So, he did a fantastic job all year round, where he was also averaging 32% from the three-point line and also averaged an effective field goal percentage of 49. So, all year Kelly Oubre Jr. did definitely show he still has it even at the age of 27. So, he's still a very young player, and that's why he would be a perfect fit for what the Warriors are trying to do, especially when players like Steph, Klay, or Draymond continue to get older. He can definitely be a young core player and can play very well off the bench with Chris Paul, Gary Payton too, and now even Dario Saric. So, it would be a recipe for success to add someone like Oubre to that second unit, and Oubre has been willing to come back to the Warriors even for a minimum type contract. So, whether they will be able to get him, it's great that Dario Saric was able to accept on a very cheap contract offer, which he was willing to accept due to the fact that he wanted more people to come on board, or maybe get another star that can help this Warriors team win. It does seem that Saric does want to win a championship ring, and that he has a great opportunity to do that playing for this Golden State Warriors roster, especially with Stephen Curry leading the way. The fifth is that Chris Paul has experience playing already with Dario Saric. As you all know, Saric played for the Phoenix Suns, and during his time in the Phoenix Suns he was able to play with Chris Paul, and now they've both reunited back in Golden State Warriors uniform. And this is honestly going to be a fantastic sight to see. They are already known how to play with each other. Chris Paul already knows his strengths and weaknesses, and they probably will be running a lot of game together due to the fact that they may be the second unit. And because of that, Chris Paul could run a sick pick and roll with Dario Saric and definitely get the job done. It's going to be an exciting sight to see you have the starting five with Steph Curry, Draymond, and Kevon Looney. And then if you have Chris Paul and Dario Saric coming off the bench running a great pick and roll action. No team can stop this Warriors roster. They have enough scores now in order to get it done, and that is something that is so important, especially in today's NBA, where scoring is definitely the #1 factor while also playing fast pace. Warriors is one of the fastest teams in the league, and now that they have added so many great scorers in Chris Paul, now Dario Saric, and also others. The sixth is that the Golden State Warriors have found their scoring big man in Dario Saric. Now this is so important because if we look at the Golden State Warriors or the current roster right now, you see that Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, and also other bigs such as J.A. Michael Green are great bigs. But they aren't really a pure scorer where they can score from outside as well, and this is what Dario Saric really does bring to this team. He's a fantastic scorer, and he has shown it time and time again. Now, if you don't know, Dario Saric in the most recent season actually played with the Oklahoma City Thunder, where he played 20 games. He also played with the Phoenix Suns during that season, but all of his average for that season was 6.4, which is fantastic, even though he was only averaging around 13 minutes of game time. So that is really good to see. To put that perspective, if you have Kevon Looney and also Draymond Green, who are averaging a total of 30+ minutes, were only averaging 7.5 points. So, Dario Saric in literally half the time was able to average almost the same amount of scoring, and that is why Saric can be a great scorer if he's given the right number of minutes. His effective field goal percentage was also 54, which is fantastic. And when it comes to Saric's scoring, it's definitely going to provide something off the bench that Draymond and Kevon Looney don't provide in that starting 5 unit. And don't get me wrong, Kevon Looney has had some pretty good games, scoring 20+ points, and also Draymond Green. However, on a consistent basis, they aren't really the main scorers, and this is where Dario Saric really comes into the picture. Saric is also great because he does stand at 6'10", 225 pounds, and he's only 25 years of age. So, he's still a very young player and still has a lot of years left in this NBA league. Now, when it comes to Saric, what he does really well is definitely his scoring, not only just inside and outside, but also his post-up game is very strong. Saric has a great post-up game. It reminds me a bit of like a Pau Gasol, but obviously Paul Gasol was an all-star on all these different things. But he has a great left-right hook, which is fantastic, and he provides simple scoring rather than flashy scoring, and he gets the job done. So Saric as a whole will provide a lot for this team when it comes to scoring, especially off the bench. If we look at the current bench right now, that Chris Paul is in it, a great pick and roll action happening between Saric and Paul, and it is going to be a recipe for success. Now if we look at the Golden State Warriors last season, we see that they were averaging 47 two-point attempts per game, which ranked them 28 out of all 30 NBA teams. So, it's safe to say that the Golden State Warriors, yes, they do have great three-point scoring, but they heavily relied on the three and didn't have too much inside presence, and this is something that Dario Saric can definitely provide when it just comes to scoring all around. It is fantastic to see that he has a great post-up game which can definitely play benefit to the Warriors and what they are trying to achieve, especially for this next upcoming season where they are trying to win another NBA championship. The seventh, Dario Saric had a cleft lip and palate, a congenital anomaly that occurs in roughly 1 in every 700 kids before birth. Early in pregnancy, a baby's face develops as tissue and other cells from each side of the head grow toward the center of the face and join together. Our lips form between the 4th and 7th weeks of pregnancy. A cleft lip occurs if the tissue of the upper lip does not join, leaving the eponymous opening. More famous people with clefts include actors Stacy Keach and Cheech Marin, both often mustachioed and not displayed. The question is, did he win despite this congenital anomaly? Hear the answer. If you're a die-hard Golden State Warriors fan like me, there's always something to talk about when it comes to this team. Be sure to visit the community page of our channel, where you'll find various quizzes and polls about the Golden State Warriors to test your knowledge. Also, check out our other videos on different aspects of the team.